Okay, back at it. So, if we've got something that's going 15 frames per second, let's see what it tells us about rendering. Simply appeared, just blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we can set the frames per second defaults to 10. Okay, so if we're looking at 10 frames per second, I'm fine with that. The number of frames, that's going to depend on the total time. So, I guess there's a number of ways I could set up the time here. I could have a total time and then follow a formula. I could have a number of cycles following some formula. Yeah, let's do that. So let's say 10 breaths. Actually, let's even just make it 5 breaths with these defaults. We'll see if it looks weird, but whatever. So, it's right there. End frames will be 10 frames per second times the number of breaths times inhale plus hold full plus exhale plus hold empty. Cool. There's our number of frames. Dev sets the device, defaults to PNG, renderer defaults to GIFSKI. Okay, so this repetition, this is where we're holding our breath after it's full. I just want to set this up so that 10 is a variable that I can change. And then when I'm doing it here, I can say it's going to be how many frames is going to be the number of seconds times the frame rate. And that will be hold full times FPS. FPS times hold empty. And then here, this will be FPS times inhale. Actually, so this is the number in there. What can I do with this? By length dot out. Okay, so if we set length dot out equal to this, cool. So say we're going to take 5 breaths. We're going to inhale for 3 seconds, hold for 3 seconds, exhale for 3 seconds, hold for 3 seconds, and then restart. We're going to generate 10 frames per second, and we can change this later, but we'll stick with the default. But I do want to just put it in the variable so that I don't have to change it 5 times. Figure out how many frames we're going to generate with this GIF, which is going to be the frame rate times the number of breaths times the cumulative length of a breath cycle. And then the breath cycle itself will have our partial sine wave for the inhale, hold, sine wave for the exhale, hold. And this should all be good based on what we put in. All right, so then we've got this breath cycle. Let's go ahead and say, right, so X is our sequence. So I don't think we really need to do it quite as thoroughly as we had. dump some stuff here and figure it out. So this initial plot going from 0 to 100 with no real data. I'm not sure I'm into that. So if we make a plot on breath cycle, let's just say data.frame. All right, let's see if that does a thing. Label. Oh. Error in labs. Label subtitle equals subtitle. Order argument 1. Huh. Okay, well, let's try this. I did. Oh, that's why. Okay. All right. Trying to find a lazy way to run all this. All right. All right, so here's a breath cycle. Is this right? This seems a little short. So we go from -1 through 0 to +1. We hold, we exhale. Okay, so this is one cycle. I see, okay. And then we need to repeat that by the number of breaths. Okay, order. Argument 1 is not a vector. I'm not sure what the problem is there. And actually, you know what? I'm going to repeat this here. All right. Okay, so now breath cycle is much longer. It's repeating, so this would be something for 600 frames. All right, that part looks good. Maybe I just, oh, Oh, I'm missing time. Okay, so let's just say time equals 1 to length of the breath cycle. All right, that's better. So I was putting in the data just as a vector. I forced the vector to look like a data frame, but I still needed a column called time. Okay, so it's going too fast. Oh yeah, it's still trying to put this into 100 frames. All right, so let's go back. See what gganimate has to say. Where were we rendering? All right. Don't necessarily want video output, although that's cool to know that that exists. We could add sound to this. That would be nice. Blah, 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 blah. Animate. Oh, cool. We can set resolution and stuff. All right, so if we say animate our plot, and animate our plot with n frames equals, I call it n frames. FPS equals FPS. Duration, I'm guessing that's in seconds. In seconds, okay. Now if I have a number of frames and I have an FPS, then I don't need to define the duration. Right? If I have 1 frame per second and 10 frames, then it's got to be a 10-second duration. Render device. Possible values. GIF is not a possible value, even though GIFSKI render is the default. How did I do this before? Animate plot, saved. Oh, wait. Anim save. Let's look at anim save. Now, animate. Right. Well, let's see what I get out of this right now. So if I run, make dot. Cool. So it's running animate, it's returning the result. I'm sure I could save that into a thing and do something separate with it, but let's see what we get. Inserting images. Okay. This kind of looks better. It's slower. Okay. There was the exhale, inhale, hold, hold, exhale, hold. All right. This is good. Now we need the size to be bigger. Now all this stuff, I think I can safely get rid of. this, you could say make dot, maybe. Let's see if this works. All right, so I think we fixed the timing. The next thing I want to do is make the circle bigger. Sort out the size. Oops. All right, so let's go ahead and back up our work to get here. Excuse me. Sort out timing. Functionalize code. And push. Close. All right, cool. Encoded to GIF. All right, so anim save seems to have worked. That was 1026. Let's see if this GIF is what I expect. Look at that. We're spitting out a GIF. Awesome. So it was inhale, hold, exhale, hold. All right. Okay. You know, I'm going to do one more thing and just label, effectively label where we are in the breath cycle. So for the breath cycle, let's get rid of this. Well, let's separate it. Well, maybe. All right, so we'll have rep inhale for FPS times inhale, rep hold for FPS times hold full, rep exhale for FPS times exhale, and rep hold for FPS times hold empty. Breath cycle. Let's make it a data frame. Actually, okay, here's what I want to do. Take these vectors, and I will repeat both of them while we're creating. So we create this inhale, 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 hold, exhale, hold, and then again underneath that, right? 5 times or however many times. And cool, we've got that. We've got that for the breath cycle vector. And then really what we do here, okay, this is fine. You know what, let's separate this out just to make it a little easier. And then what was that? That was part of cycle. Let's call it action. Let's call it action in both places. Cool. So make this data frame. We've got basically the sine curve under size. We've got just a sequence of numbers for time. We could just, do a row name to get the same information, but well, it's fine, right? It's not a big deal to make a new column. And then action, are we inhaling, exhaling, or holding? Perfect. Then the plot, we can, for example, have color equals action. All right. So let's try this. I'm going to say 1 breath, inhale for 1, hold for 2, exhale for 3, hold for 4. Cool. And I'm putting the semicolon here just so I can Control Enter once, and it does that for me automatically. It redefines, and then it calls make dot. So blue, green, red, green. Awesome. All right. We could make it fade a little bit. Now, I think that would just be kind of part of size. Can I say... I wonder if somewhere in Geom Point we can figure out how to make the maximum size even bigger. I think that's layer stat. Value, blah, 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 blah. Computed aesthetics. After scale. Okay, cool. This is getting closer. Point, yada, yada, yada. Okay, whatever. I'm not going to dig down this rabbit hole, but I will remind myself that this gganimate help page was really helpful as getting started. Cool. So my recommendation to you is if you want to do something with gganimate, start here. All right, cool. So I have got a thing that's also doing the colors. So let's get rid of that. This is, by the way, kind of a real hacky way to do testing. If you're doing a more complicated software project, you want to test all your functions to make sure they do what they're supposed to, so you don't accidentally introduce an error that makes it so your bank gives someone $1 billion and you get fired. In this case, it's a small project, the stakes are low, and we're just starting. We don't need to worry about testing more formally. But I've got this, it does a thing, and yeah, we've got this. So let's go ahead and say, okay, we're going to breathe 5 times. We're going to inhale for 3 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 3, hold for 4. And we will create that GIF. Let's go ahead and commit our script. So here, update to allow color change by stage. Commit. Good. And then, is it going to give us a GIF? It's going to give us a GIF in 5 more seconds. Put that together. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. And, wow, now it's saving. Oh, it made the dot. Now it's saving the dot. Oh, I see. I see. What I thought I was doing was this. So let's go ahead and add to this commit. We'll amend and create GIF with sensible defaults. All right, commit, close. And have we got this file, 1034? Awesome. Let's go ahead and push this file also. Create GIF, commit, push, close. All right. Let's see this GIF in action. It's blue, green, red. So I'd like a different color mapping, but whatever. I've got something that works right now. And if it's 10 frames per second, then this should be basically 17 point whatever seconds. We can mess with that later, but awesome. There's some cool stuff here. I should also, label time I think is fine. I think that captures what I've got in mind for what's next. But let's go ahead and leave that there, and I will talk to you in the future.